Well, how about that? £37.12, a lovely way to get started on Gigantica this year. You would have noticed the first thing I'd done when we got this fish in was keep it in the net, keep it in position, got the rod back out and then done everything. That's a mistake a lot of people make, is flaff around for about an hour, the rods are out and then the fish start feeding in their swim and then they bang a lead right on top of them. So first job, got the rod in, and you know what? I'm absolutely ecstatic, and this was taken on a new addition to my armoury in 2012. It's called the Goo. I'm going to have a look at it right now. If you've never seen Goo, then I tell you what, you've been missing out on arguably, in my opinion, the best single attractant that I've seen come into carp fishing in the last 22 years. It has truly transformed the way I fish, and I tell you what, since I first started using it in August 2011, I promise you, I haven't cast out a single time without it in some way, shape or form in my bait armoury. On those days when the fish don't seem to be having it, that's when it seems to come into its own. Today, for example, just didn't expect to get a bite, and out the blue, that Goo infused bottom bait just roars off on a hot, sweltering day. I'm not saying it's going to be a magic wand for you, but it really has transformed the way I fish. It gives me a new element to everything that I do. I know that's pumping out attraction, and it just gives the hook bait a new aura that it didn't have before. So I'm going to talk to you about ways of using it, because it isn't just a small fish method. It really can be used for catching big uns and small fish alike. Whether you're smash 'em up fishing or fishing a lake with just 10 small carp in a weedy pool, then this can give you something new and guarantee that you're going to put some more fish on the bank. So here I've got some hook baits, right? These are my normal mainline ones that I've used for years. I absolutely love them, they're brilliant. But by putting the Goo on, I think I've added a new element, something to take them to the new level. So here is one of the new Goos, basically. Two new Goos, in fact. This is two types of almond. We were going to put them in the original launch when the 6 were done by Kiana Carp, but we were just concerned that it's too pink, it's too colourful, and it does tend to stain everything. You know, it stains my pants, it stains my hands. When I go home, it looks like I've been painting a double-decker bus, but it isn't half attractive to carp. They absolutely adore it. And this way, by painting them onto these hook baits, you're going to get it working over a longer period. If you just put it on wet before you cast, then it can often wear away and it's dissipated within 30 to 40 minutes. By doing this hydration system, so what you do is you just trickle, I've got 2 almonds on here, like I said, there's a thinner one first, I drizzle it on, I shake the tub up, leave them in the sun a little while to dry, and then I put the thicker version on. And what that does, the thinner one cuts into it because it's quite acidic, it gets to the core of the bait, and then the thicker one goes on the outside. And we've seen it on the zoom camera on the underwater film, that just bleeds off really, really slowly. And when you see Underwater Part 8, which will be released in 2013, you're going to be shocked, because in all my time of carp fishing, I've never seen fish react to a hook bait like they did to these. It was really the difference between getting one pickup in 4 hours and getting 20 fish go for it in 20 minutes. It was that dramatic. It truly is magical, and you can do it with any of them. Here's some Tutti Frutti one. This is with the actual Tutti Frutti Power Smoke. Again, I've applied it on there and it looks like they've got silkweed on, but they haven't. This has been dried onto it, and that's going to leak off over a longer period. And here is another one of the new ones that will hopefully be launched in 2013. This is the Strawberry Twist that's been on test. I actually caught the fish this morning on a combination of 2 of the older Goos that are in the current range and one of the new ones. That was the Pineapple Supreme and the Tutti Frutti, and then with a Strawberry Twist, all combined, all around the hook baits, just to give me my own uniqueness. And that's what I'm saying, you're only limited by your own imagination. You can do little cocktails to make sure your bait separates itself from the guy next door. A great way to use them, dried on the hook baits. We're now going to have a look at stick mixes and pellets. Right, this is the way I like to use it in my stick mixes. It has really transformed the way I use PVA. So in this stick mix here, there's some pellets and some Cloud 9 powder. Now all I've done basically is first put the pellets into the tub. These are the brilliant little combination pellets that Mainline do. It's their PVA and sort of spod mix pellets. It's all different mixtures, all different attractors, all different breakdown times. So I put them in a tub, and I'll get this raspberry plume bait smoke. Now, just to talk to you about the bait smokes and the power smokes, the only real difference between them is the amount of colour that they release. They all have a degree of potency, but the important part to remember about all of these goos, unlike other liquids on the market, is the fact that most of these have natural ingredients. They're naturally occurring sugars, they're natural ingredients that the carp just absolutely adore. There's nothing really synthetic about these, all natural. So get that raspberry plume, put it over those pellets. Again, a bottle goes a really long way, you know. It looks like I'm putting a lot on, but it hardly makes an impression on that bottle. Put it onto the pellets, then using your finest found twig, turn them into it until those pellets have got like a little red glaze on them. And I've seen that also on chum mixers. One of my mates been tearing a local syndicate apart using the raspberry plume on his loose feed chum mixers. Before that, he could barely get a bite. Then he started putting them in with the raspberry plume, and he said the fish just couldn't get enough of them. I did the same on Hunt's Corner when we did Thinking Tackle, and on the recent 2012 Junior British Championships, young Josh Jones, the winner, again had the same scenario. He wasn't using the goo in his swim. There was fish on the surface. He was putting mixers out. They weren't really having them. I told him to try the raspberry plume. They'd all been given it throughout the match. He put some on, and again the fish tore into it. And I know the lad didn't cast out then without goo again, and he ended up romping the match and winning it for the first time, the youngest ever winner. So there's another bit of proof about the goo pudding. So pellets go in, then get some stick mix in there again. So you've got the raspberry in, and then what I do is I put this pineapple supreme over the top. This is a bait smoke, but again, it does carry a fair bit of colour, but the magical part about this is its sweetness. It really is super sweet. And if you're betolin fans or liquid betaine fans, then this, I believe, blows any other sweetener out the market. And I've been using it in my spods before I cast out when I'm spodding over zigs, into stick mixes, and as a hook bait soak. It really is versatile, and I love that about it. Turn that into it, and just before casting out a PVA bag, I do like to add one of the power smokes to the outside, especially if I'm fishing in murky water. This really does not only give you loads of colour and a halo that mimics fish basically feeding in the area, but again, like I've said before, the colour isn't the reason it works. You know, the reason it works is it's releasing the most wonderful taste and natural ingredients into that area around the hook bait. And you've seen the guru lads in Fishing Gurus put that onto the outside of their little swim feeders, and again, I love it on a PVA bag, and it just hones them fish into it. I've seen it on the underwater film as well. I've cast a bag out before we've even managed to get the camera onto the bag. A fish has come in and smashed it. That's how quickly they find that. And you know what? I don't think there's another bait ingredient out there that can hone fish into your hook bait as quickly as this. When you see this underwater, this is bubbling away, those little pop-ups come up, and as fish attack it, what it does, it creates this cloud, this smell, this taste in the swim, and fish come back. It mimics feeding fish in the area, and it just keeps on happening. It builds and builds, and if you fish on the clip and fish accurately, keep it going in the same spot, then that's just going to get better and better and better. It's going to hold fish in your swim for longer, and when you do cast out, even if you put loads of bait down sometimes, these fish can find your hook baits in your bags, even in amongst a load of freebies. Brilliant little addition to it, a great way to use it. They're all transferable in different ways. The last thing we're going to look at is the bait I'm preparing for this evening. Right, this is the bait I'm putting out at night at Gigantica. Got some of the new bait by Mainline, some new Grange in there, some 14 millers in there, some growlers in there. I've also put them through the cutter tool, so I've got a few halves in there. And then what I'm adding is a bit of the corn twist goo. That just gives your baits a little added dimension. We also used it on Underwater Part 7 in the particle mix that we were putting out at night. I was adding that into the particles just to infuse it in there, give more taste into the water column to keep fish interested for longer. So just add a little bit. I'm not saying use a whole bottle. The amount I put in barely makes any impression on the bottle at all. Just a little bit to glaze those hook baits, almost like a bit of olive oil on your salad. So once that's in there, just give it a nice turn, and then I leave that to soak in for a good couple of hours just to get itself set and rocking. And I tell you what, that really will give your loose feed something extra, and hopefully with all that taste, there's nothing artificial in there. So everything they taste is very natural, non-synthetic, and that's important. That's what makes the Goo so good. And no matter whether you're using it on zigs, on the bottom, on PVA bags, on your hook baits, the Goo revolution really is here to stay. It's made a massive impact on my fishing. Make sure it does the same for you.